A growing threat. Why we need to talk about Mexican cartels. Mexican drug cartels are not just a local problem, they are a transnational threat, impacting countries around the world. Their influence reaches far beyond drug trafficking, fueling violence, corruption, and instability. Understanding these organizations is crucial for tackling the issues they create. From the streets of Mexico to the lives of people worldwide, their impact is undeniable. We cannot afford to ignore this complex and dangerous reality. The violence associated with cartel activities has devastated communities and claimed countless lives. Their influence seeps into politics and law enforcement, undermining democracy and the rule of law. Ignoring this issue only allows it to fester and grow. We must shed light on the dark world of Mexican cartels to find solutions and protect innocent lives. From humble beginnings to powerful empires, a history of Mexico's criminal underworld. The roots of Mexico's criminal organizations can be traced back to the early 20th century. Prohibition in the United States created a demand for illegal alcohol, giving rise to smuggling operations across the border. These early criminal networks laid the groundwork for the powerful cartels we see today. The infamous Guadalajara cartel emerged in the 1980s, consolidating power and establishing sophisticated drug trafficking routes. The fall of the Guadalajara cartel led to the splintering of power, giving birth to notorious groups like the Sinaloa cartel and the Tijuana cartel. These cartels engaged in bloody turf wars, vying for control of lucrative drug routes and territories. Over time, Mexican cartels diversified their criminal enterprises. They expanded beyond drug trafficking to include human smuggling, extortion, and kidnapping. Their growing power and brutality presented an unprecedented challenge to the Mexican state. The business of cartels, drugs, violence, and beyond. Drug trafficking remains the core business of Mexican cartels. They control the flow of cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and fentanyl into the United States, generating billions of dollars in profits. These profits fuel their vast criminal enterprises and enable them to acquire sophisticated weaponry and corrupt officials. Violence is an inherent part of their business model, used to eliminate rivals, enforce their dominance, and intimidate communities. Cartels extort businesses, demanding protection money and controlling local economies. They engage in kidnapping for ransom, targeting both wealthy individuals and vulnerable migrants seeking passage to the United States. Their ruthless tactics have instilled fear and insecurity in many parts of Mexico, undermining the social fabric and hindering economic development. Their activities have devastating consequences for individuals, communities, and the country as a whole. Living in the shadow of cartels' social and economic consequences. The social and economic consequences of cartel violence are profound. Communities terrorized by cartel activity often live in a state of perpetual fear. Basic freedoms are curtailed as cartels exert their influence, limiting opportunities and eroding trust in institutions. Families are torn apart by violence, displacement, and the disappearance of loved ones. The constant threat of violence creates a climate of fear that permeates everyday life, hindering social interaction and community development. The economic consequences are equally devastating. Businesses are forced to close, investment flees, and tourism suffers. Cartel violence hinders economic growth and perpetuates poverty, trapping communities in a cycle of violence and despair. The human cost of this conflict is immeasurable, leaving behind a legacy of trauma, loss, and broken lives. Addressing these social and economic consequences is crucial for healing communities and restoring stability to affected regions.